Hello, and welcome to our second part of the Wars of Religion series for Unit 2 of AP European History. In our first video, we looked at the English Reformation with Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. We looked at the French Wars of Religion and the whole messy drama between the War of the Three Henrys and the Huguenots versus the Catholics. And then in this video, we'll look at the Dutch Revolt, and we'll go back to England again and talk about what's been happening with Spain. Now, the common theme of this video you're going to see is Spain is really trying to get back control for the Catholic Church. Now, to understand this a little bit further, let's take a look first at Philip II of Spain, who is considered to be the most powerful man of Europe until his defeat of the Spanish Armada by Elizabeth I. And we'll talk more about that in this video. But he's very wealthy from all of this gold and silver in the New World, and he's currently the King of Spain, and he takes over Portugal after he suppresses a resistance in Portugal. And he has, one of those inbred Habsburg families. His parents were first cousins. He marries one of his nieces. There's a lot of inbreeding going on with this guy and his family. His father was Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor. And so he has a lot of that Catholic heritage in him. Um, but his policies are going to make a lot of divides in Spain. It's going to increase the economic gap between the wealthy and the peasants. It makes the Castilian peasants the most heavily taxed people in Europe at this time. And his main goal for most of his reign is going to be to try to stomp out Protestantism in all parts of his kingdom. Now, I know we all have heard the saying, the sun never sets on the British Empire, but Philip II's really the one to do it first. I mean, you look at this map, the sun's not setting on his empire, because think about it, at this time, they've got all these colonies in the New World. When he rules over Portugal as well, he gets access to all of those colonies that they create in the Southeast Indies. And then, of course, he has several holdings in Europe at the time as well. Now, part of his complicated family tree is that when his father, Charles V, abdicates as the Holy Roman Emperor, like he gives up his throne, the Habsburg dynasty is kind of split in half. And so half of it's going to go to Philip II, where he gets the Netherlands and some other territory holdings. And then the other half is going to go to his uncle, who will be the next head of the Holy Roman Empire. So he doesn't get to be the Holy Roman Emperor. It's his uncle that will get to be that. And remember, Philip II's major, thing he wants to get done as a ruler is he wants to unite all of these different places under Catholicism again. So he sends his army to punish the Calvins living in the Netherlands after some Calvinist mobs attacked Catholic churches in the region. And then this guy named Prince William of Orange is going to lead a military alliance against him. So William of Orange leads the independence movement of the Netherlands against Spain. I mean, he's trying to uphold Protestantism, but he's also trying to make sure that the Netherlands kind of can have some independence from Spain as well. But what ends up happening is Philip II sends what's called the Spanish Fury. So there's Spanish mercenaries that come in and they leave about 7,000 people dead. And this massacre kind of unites the Protestant and Catholic Netherlands against Spain because they're like, well, both of us ended up dying in this massacre. We need to get Spain out rather than focus on our differences. Now, unfortunately, William of Orange, the leader of this movement, he's assassinated and replaced by his son, who will help, with the help of England and France, finally defeat Spain because basically everybody's kind of fed up with Spain at this point. Now, the Dutch during this time period and kind of moving forward are going to be known as a pretty religiously tolerant place. So, how did that happen there? But, we look at the rest of Europe during this time and it's not happening. Well, there's a few kind of key reasons why that is. We see that their central government did not have a lot of power to enforce religious orthodoxy. We see that they're a merchant community, and these professional families and merchants are the ones that are going to control the towns. And those people are going to care more about money and what's like kind of working for them than they are about what religion you are. They're like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're Protestant or Catholic, a dollar is a dollar. So after all of this, about a third of the Dutch population will remain Catholic. They're also going to see a pretty large Jewish population after 1597 because they're going to allow Jewish people to worship in their own synagogues and kind of be free with their faith in public. And so the Dutch people are going to flock there, and they become known as kind of the chief intellectual and scientific centers of this time period. Which leads us to one of the most important takeaways from this time period in this unit. It's the idea that new religions were founded and spread across Europe and countries. And we're going to see countries that have more than one religion existing together peacefully in their country at the same time. And this is known as religious pluralism. So the Dutch are a great example of this happening. Kind of Spain is going to be the opposite of that. They're going to do everything they can to limit pluralism from happening. Okay, so I told you we're not done with England. Let's go ahead and just flip back to there and find out what kind of beef they have going on with Spain. Now, just a quick recap. Remember, Henry VIII, he breaks from the Catholic Church, sets up the Church of England or Anglicanism in England. He dies, whole succession story. And one of the people that takes over right after him is his daughter Mary, who is Catholic. And she's very hostile to Protestants. She executes a lot of Protestant leaders. She burns a lot of people at the stake, gets her the nickname Bloody Mary. And she's married to Philip II of Spain. And so that kind of increases that kind of denial of the spread of Protestantism in England. And I can only imagine what it's like to be a person living in England during this time period because you're just flip-flopping between being, should we be Protestant? Should we be Catholic? Which ruler's in charge right now? Like, who's going to kill us if we say the wrong answer? Your lives are kind of hanging in the balance at the whims of these monarchs. So when Mary dies and Elizabeth takes over, she is Protestant and she tries to kind of bring everyone together there, especially at the beginning of her reign. And she creates what's called the 39 Articles and adds more Catholicism or Catholic aspects into the Protestant Church of England and kind of solidifies what the Anglican Church will really look like. And she does that as an attempt to try to bring more Catholic people into the fold of the church. You'll see that there are certain groups that start to flee because of this, especially the Puritans. Those are ones going to go to the New World. And then you see, because of all of this, a lot of animosity growing between England and Spain over the dominance of the seas. Remember, they're both really big maritime trade people right now. And Spain is led by her ex brother in law, Philip II. Elizabeth and Mary never really got along very much. Their mothers had kind of pitted them against each other in a lot of ways, and so did the other wives of their father. And, these religious differences don't help with that at all. Now, this is during the peak of Spain. Like, Spain is the most powerful country in the world at this point in time. They're the wealthiest, they have the biggest naval fleet, and everybody is kind of afraid of them, and they keep going and taking over more places. So they want to invade England, make them Catholic again, and kind of rule over England in the same way that they're kind of doing to Portugal at this time. Now, England's trying to delay this from happening. They do some things like they shell Spanish ports and kind of raid the coastlines of Portugal, trying to delay the Spanish invasion. And it's not enough. Spain sends this fleet of 130 ships with 25,000 sailors coming towards England. And basically, it's almost like divine intervention. They call it the Protestant wind, that this storm comes through and wrecks most of the Spanish fleet, and they have to turn around and go home. And it really does seem like divine providence that, God wants this woman to be on the throne and for them to stay Protestant. But it gives them hope that, this is what's meant to happen. And it kind of justifies a little bit of Elizabeth's rule because, again, the English people are not super crazy about another female ruler in such a male, like patriarchal society. And what happens is that's really kind of the end of Spanish dominance, that they're not able to recover the fleet that they had, the money that they have to spend kind of like puts a big dent in their coffers there. And this marks the decline of the Spanish Empire. Here's a map for you so you can kind of see what happened, but they basically have to make this whole little loop going around England, where the storms are just kind of battering them. And they got to turn around and go home. And that's really it. We've reached the end of the Wars of Religion saga. Um, it would make a great TV series if any of you guys want to jump on that. But that's all we've got. Thanks for watching.